In short-term rentals, control is the real competitive advantage. Control over your bookings, control over your guest experience, control over how your business grows in 2026. Lodgify gives rental operators the tools to build direct booking websites, automate guest communication, and manage every channel from one platform without adding complexity. This is how rentals stop feeling reactive and start feeling more intentional. Skift Daily Briefing listeners get 20% off any yearly or bi-yearly Lodgify plans with code SDB20, available through March 2026. Details are in the show notes.
Welcome back to the Skift Daily Briefing. It's Wednesday, March 11th. I'm Sarah Dandashi, and today, an oil shock that could push airfares up by double digits, a shutdown driven TSA staffing crunch turning into real airport line drama, and IHG facing a tough moment on climate targets as emissions rise again. Let's get into it. First up, the story that can ripple across basically every corner of travel: oil. Oil jumped above $100 a barrel this weekend, the highest level since 2022, after traders who had been oddly calm suddenly, well, they weren't anymore. And for airlines, this is not a headline you can casually scroll past. Jet fuel is often the single biggest operating cost. In the US, it's roughly one out of every $5 airlines spend. So when fuel spikes, executives don't have the luxury of waiting to see how it plays out. They have to move. Skift Research ran the math using airline fuel sensitivity disclosures, and the number is big. Current fuel levels could add about $24 billion in jet fuel expenses for US airlines if it holds. And to offset that, average fares would need to rise at least 11%. That's not maybe just a few dollars. That's a meaningful reset in what people pay. The bottom line: if fuel stays elevated, higher fares aren't a theory. They're the most direct lever airlines can pull. Now, there are caveats here. The analysis assumes fuel stays high across the year and airlines don't change flight schedules. In the real world, airlines can cut capacity, tweak routes, and adjust pricing in real time. There's also political pressure to lower fuel prices, and the situation is still volatile. But here's the thing travelers should really understand: airlines sell tickets months in advance. If their cost base just jumped, every low fare ticket sold today can lock in losses later unless pricing rises. The takeaway: even if you don't follow energy markets follow your airfare. Our second story: US airports are getting a shutdown flavored stress test, and it's showing up at security. As the partial government shutdown approaches the 1 month mark, TSA staffing shortages are leading to much longer screening lines at multiple airports. Houston's Hobby Airport told travelers to arrive up to 4 hours early. In New Orleans, lines stretched towards parking garages. Atlanta warned about extended waits also, even though on some days it looked normal, which is exactly what makes this so frustrating. You can have a fine airport day and then suddenly you don't. The trigger here is simple: TSA agents missing paychecks. That's not sustainable, and it shows up as absenteeism, slower throughput, and backup plans that involve telling everyone to show up earlier, which, by the way, just creates bigger crowds sooner. The key point here is that during high volume periods like spring break, a small staffing dip can create outsized chaos. Also in the mix, global entry is still suspended, which won't affect every traveler on every trip, but it adds friction exactly where frequent travelers usually count on speed. The final takeaway here: build in extra time like you're flying during a holiday weekend, even if it's just a Wednesday. And our third story: sustainability and a moment where ambition is colliding with reality. IHG says it's reviewing its climate target after reporting that emissions rose again in 2025. The company set a science backed goal in 2021 to cut scope 1, 2, and 3 emissions by 46% by 2030 from a 2019 baseline. But emissions climbed from about 6.25 million tons of CO2 in 2019 to about 6.72 million tons in 2025, up by roughly 7.7%. Now, IHG points to two main drivers: rapid network expansion and the lack of clean energy infrastructure across many markets. They've made progress on efficiency per room, things like LED lighting, better fixtures, operational upgrades, but overall emissions are still rising because the footprint is growing faster than efficiency gains. The bottom line here is that this is a tension point for the whole industry. Growth, franchising, and uneven energy grids can blow a hole in even the best targets. Well, that's it for your Skift Daily Briefing. For more on industry news, be sure to head to skift.com. And as always, subscribe to the newsletter at skift.com/daily. Thanks so much for listening.